Hi everyone. Hey, I know we're all busy with the Christmas stuff going on. It's right before Christmas Eve. I just wanted to do this video really fast because there's a lot of stress right now. We're trying to get stuff done and kids are tired of waiting for Christmas, and my kids were fighting this morning. I couldn't believe it, the way they were fighting. My older son, the oldest one of the house right now, was fighting with my other one, and they have not fought like this for a long time. And anyway, some things were going on, and here's how I handled it. I wanted to share this with you because what I used to do was run in and tell them they had to be nice to each other, and someone had to say they were sorry, and someone had to just stop that, and I would just get all up in the middle of it, and then all day long they would be like grumbling under their breath, well, you always take their side, and you this, and it's not fair, and it just would go on and on. And so today I learned some things that I wanted to share because, first of all, to explain why I do what I do, there's a couple of emotional premises we want to talk about here. First of all, the thing is nobody is responsible for how you feel or what you think. Even if someone says something terrible to you, they're mean to you, whatever it is, you are still responsible for what you do with that, how you feel, how you process that, and what goes on. And so, you know, when we tell our kids you have to say you're sorry, and you have to be nice, and you have to do all these things, they start realizing, hey, it's your fault I feel like this. You shouldn't have done that to me. And maybe they shouldn't. That's probably true. But we can't control what other people do. If other people tell us something awful, we're the one who gets to go home and deal with it. And it's terrible, but it's the way life is. And so if we tell them, hey, you know, you have to say you're sorry, or you have to make that person be okay, what's even worse is then your kids can feel like, oh no, you know, I got to make sure they're okay. I got to make sure they're okay. So if they get married or later in life, what if their spouse or someone close to them is having a bad day and they can't make them feel better? They're going to be agitated and mad, or trying to control how they feel, or feeling awful about themselves because this person doesn't feel good. Instead, it makes it really hard for us to be compassionate and present with a person if we're feeling responsible for the way they feel. Does that make sense? Because it kind of seems like, oh, we have to tell them they have to say they're sorry, and we have to do all these things, or they're not going to be nice people. And that's not true. What I have found out is, as I've taught my kids differently to go inside and work on what's going on with them when they're upset, they are kinder people because they're not so agitated when there's a tough situation. And so, lucky for me, and the reason I've learned all this is because one of my sons, thank goodness, hasn't had the ability to stuff his emotions and act like the rest of us. He has a really hard time. He's been a couple years behind in school, and he just emotionally, if he gets upset, he'll hide under a blanket and get continually more agitated and get into trouble until someone helps him process what's happened. And so it's made it so I've had to learn a lot of things in order to help him. And so today, he was really, really upset, and here's what we did. I want to show you a quick process that works. Sometimes we tap, sometimes we do energy work, but today he didn't want to do all that, and he was really shaky and really mad, and I took him and we did what's called the work, and I want to show you how we did this. As he was sitting there with me, he started saying these thoughts. He got really shaky and really mad and said, well, I'm mental and everybody hates me and I'm an idiot. And he just started going on. And so what I did is I just took each one of those thoughts and I wrote them down just like this. Okay, here's one. I'm mental. Everyone hates me. Okay, he's believing his thoughts. Okay, so I have to do a lot of work on me so that I don't have an agenda and freak out that my son's thinking this. Just listening and helping him through it. Okay. So what I did is, if you've seen the work, all it is it's Byron Katie, and she wrote a book called Loving What Is, and she teaches this process all over YouTube and everywhere, and it is wonderful for kids with anxiety. And so what it does is you just ask 4 questions. You slow things down, write the thoughts down, and then you go through these questions, and we're going to talk about them with each thing. So I took this first thought, looked at my son and said, I'm mental. Okay. Is it true? Number one. I guess this is going to be backwards. Why did I do it this way? Well, is it true? Okay, that's the question. Is it true? I said, is it true? And he said, yes, I know it's true. And I said, the second thought is, can you absolutely know it's true? And he's younger, so I said, are you sure? Can you absolutely know that's true? Are you sure? And he says, yes, I'm sure. Everybody hates me. I'm stupid. I'm mental. And he just really upset. So I just let him get it all out, and I said, oh, okay. Well, here's the third thought, okay? How do you react when you believe that thought? How do you react? What do you do? And I said, when you're really thinking that thought, what's it like? And he just started to think about it, and he said, oh my gosh, it's awful, Mom, it's awful. And I said, huh. And he went through all the things. He says, I break things. I say things. I said, really? He says, Mom, I make myself mental. I said, yeah, you do. A little bit. So we went through it for a long time, all the ways it's affecting his life, believing this thought, okay? And so after he did that and kind of got quiet, then I said, here's the last question. Okay, are those backwards? They are. Okay, who would you be without the thought? You know what? I will attach this to the comments so you have these questions if you want them. I said, who would you be without that thought? And you know, he said, I'd just be okay. I would just be playing. I'd be normal. Really. So after we ask those thoughts, then you do a process, what's called the turnaround. So you take this thought that you've wrote down here, and you turn it around. You turn it around with like the opposite. So it would be, I'm mental, I'm not mental. I said, okay, give me at least one way you're not mental. And then we just worked together. I found a bunch, and he found a bunch of ways to know that, you know, he's really not. It's really more true that he's not than he is. And so we went through that. And then after we found all the ways he's not mental, there's another turnaround. There's 3. So you turn it around to the opposite, to the self, and then to the other person, if there's someone else involved. So I'm mental is kind of already the self. So when that's the case, you just say, my thinking is mental. So I said, my thinking is mental. Can you see how when it's not you that's mental, it's your thinking. When you're believing that, you're going to go all kinds of crazy, aren't you? And you do weird things because you're believing something weird. Your thinking's out of whack. And so he started to see that the lights come on like, yes, it is my thinking that's messed up. I said, it's causing a real bad day, isn't it? Yes. So we found all the ways that his thinking is creating this. And so after you do that, you go to the opposite. And so what we did on this thought was, everyone else is mental. And I said, can you see when you're believing that thought, that you believe everyone else is mental, and then you hate everyone, and you want to hit everyone, and you don't want to see anyone, and you don't want to do anything, and everybody's out to get you. And we found all the ways that he actually can start hating people when he believes this thought. And so that, after you question a thought like this, you know, it lets go of you. You quit thinking it. It leaves your life. Because if you don't question it, have you ever tried to just not think something? If I said purple to you and said, don't you ever think about purple, you're going to think about purple all the time. So when you question your thought, though, then it just kind of dissipates. It loses its power. And so that's what we did. We did the same process with everyone hates me. Is it true? Is it true? You know, can you absolutely know it's true? How do you react when you believe that thought? Everyone hates you. Who would you be without that thought? And we went through it. We went through all these thoughts that he was going over, and then we turned it around to everybody loves me. And I hate me. That was how we turned it to the self. And he found out, yeah, I do. I hate me when I'm thinking that thought. And I hate everyone else. So that's the turnarounds, and that's this process. And so as we do this, it makes such a difference. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, but as I helped both of my boys to work on themselves, See, my older son can say, you're mental, you're messed up, you're stupid. Well, once he's questioned this, my son can say whatever he wants, but it's not going to go in. He's going to realize, oh, that's not true. And it kind of fizzles out. But if I run to my older son and say, you can't say that, and you better fix it, and you better say you're sorry, then how do we heal what's going on with the other one that's hurting so bad? And how do I heal my older son who said those thoughts? What's going on with him, And as we help them understand what's going on inside, I didn't say one thing. I worked with each one of them and let them know they're loved and worked through all this. Then they're just playing their back. They figured their life out. There's not a thing. I didn't intervene. I didn't control whether they're friends or not. They just are. And so I'm happy that this process teaches them I'm responsible. I can always feel good. Even if someone says something terrible to me, I can go home and I can work on it, and I don't have to live in that miserable mess waiting for them to say they're sorry, and how dare they say that to me. And my gosh, because in this world a lot of people aren't going to say they're sorry. They aren't even going to know they hurt you. They're not going to think about you again. Or they might, but if you get strong and you work on your own stuff and you teach your kids, hey, you can get through anything, you can work on anything, and you can always be okay, then they're fine. They can handle these things that come up, and they stay in a loving space, and they don't have to control what someone else does, because what an awful feeling to need something from them that you're not getting. It's the worst. So this is just kind of an interesting process. This was a really big, intense thought today, and I thought it was really cool that it didn't have to be a big deal, that we could just sit with it and go through it. And I'm so glad he resolved it, because I think it will help him in so many ways in his life. The more we've done this, the more he's coming out of the anxiety and being happier at school, and we're having so much less problems. This is the first year. No, it's the second year, actually, that we've made it all year without him being in the principal's office, and we're doing so well. So anything's possible. So anyway, I hope it helps you. I hope it gives you something to think about. You can find Byron Katie, the work, online or anywhere you look on YouTube. She is very generous with this information, and so she has a lot more detail about it than I can give you here. But I wanted to share what happened, and wish you all a Merry Christmas.